Good afternoon. It's real estate reality time, and I'm so excited about today because I want to introduce Mike Allen, which I personally enjoy and admire. He is one of the broker owners of Century 21 Jordan Lincoln Company and happens to be my broker of choice. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you, Lena. I appreciate you inviting me, and I've been waiting for the invite for a while, so I'm glad I finally got to come on. So,
Well, there's so many important people in Fresno.
absolutely, I'm okay. I'm okay standing in line. That's no problem. So.
Oh my goodness. So you're here today, and everyone, I'm so excited. So Mike's new book released December of 2024, and it is The Quantum Real Estate Agent. And any real estate agent, broker, I don't care who you are, you need to read this book. I read it all the way through and listened through it and went through the Big Why exercise, which I'll let you talk about.
Awesome.
This is an amazing book, and it's on the Forbes bestseller list, right?
Yeah, it was actually released by Forbes Books, which is a part of Forbes magazine and Steve Forbes' organization, which was a privilege and honor being selected by them to publish a real estate book. It did hit Amazon's #1 pre-sales in the real estate category, and we're trying to work our way up to #1 and active sales. The book just was released in December on all platforms, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and Target.com, and some others. Audiobook just was released about a little less than 2 months ago, so you can get it on Audible as well. But yeah, really a labor of love. Wanted to write a book for a long time. A lot of people do. Had it on my to-do list, or some people call it a bucket list. Bucket list is kind of a negative connotation. It's like I've got 5 years left to live, and I better, do all this stuff. So I don't like calling it the bucket list, but it's more of, how about if I call it my quantum list of things to do, just to keep the theme going. But I was seriously thinking about doing something in 23. I had it on the list of major things I wanted to start. And lo and behold, through what I truly believe in, the law of attraction, Forbes reached out to me and said, "Hey, Mike, we've been researching and we've identified you as a potential candidate to write a business book on real estate. And are you interested?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, you guys hit me right at the right time. I mean, I was wondering if I was going to have to self-publish. How am I going to do this?" So I went through a pretty rigorous interview process with them and the publisher and their team, and they did select me to go ahead and write the book. And it took me longer than I thought. I did not want a ghostwriter. Because I felt that, hey, I've always written well. It's the one thing I did well in school is writing. I sucked at math, but was very good at writing. And I love reading. I've read hundreds and hundreds of books. And I felt, what I want to do is write the book that I wish would have existed when I got into real estate that didn't. So I'm going to fill in the blanks. It's not your typical how-to book, your typical coaching script-based book. I didn't want it to be just a regurgitation of what was already out there. So I pitched the concept to them. I'm going to fill in the blanks, and a lot of it's just going to be simple mindset and thought process and just knowing, how to get started and what you should be doing, and just how to avoid pitfalls as you're ramping your career up. And so it just fills in all the blanks that just hadn't existed out there. And it really mirrors my personal hero's journey of why I got into real estate through a tragic event, and how I almost failed, how I almost went bankrupt, and then how I got to today, which is one of the top 25 most successful real estate brokerages, or Century 21 brokerages in the country. So it's kind of a quick synopsis of how I got there with the book.
I love the personal spin at the beginning. Yeah. He gets very... personal, which we all have our personal lives. So I really appreciated that. It's a good way to get people to really
resonate. I think when you read the book, it's kind of a tell-all. I didn't hold anything back. I shared things in the book that I haven't shared with most people in person or otherwise. And
now they know.
Now they know. I became vulnerable. I am human. I do have problems. I do have challenges. I felt the only way I can deliver the message properly is to be completely candid, because I wanted people to show that I didn't start with any kind of real silver spoon, and just the opposite of that. I mean, I came into this business having to invest a lot of money to keep things going and to build up a practice and company. But anybody that puts their mind to something and really focuses and follows these 10 quantum principles that I talk about in the book, you will succeed. And not only in real estate, but you will succeed in life and any other endeavor that you pursue.
Yeah, it's like a blueprint.
It's a blueprint, and we do call it. I mean, the subtitle is the blueprint for developing your competitive edge, which you need now. You need now more than ever. Now, look, the way this past year went in real estate, guys. Look, if you're not reading this type of content, I'm not saying it has to be my book, although I'd love it if it was. But you need that recharge. You need to understand, why am I doing this? Lena mentioned the big why exercise, and that's what really drives why we got into real estate and took those chances of leaving maybe a career or day job, or split time between a career and this. But there is tremendous risk because we're all becoming entrepreneurs when we get into real estate. We're running our own business. We're basically trying to grow something, generally from ground up, and there's cost that comes with that. And at the end of the day, we have to have a true purpose beyond just simply, I want to make more money, or I want to have more free time and more flexibility. That's all surface level stuff. That's not why we really take the level of risk that most of us have taken to get into real estate. Is there's a bigger purpose behind it, and we really have to start there before we move forward.
Can you talk a little bit about people who don't know who came up with the big why? Can you? And then you can also, by the way, you could go on. We can talk about this in a little bit, but the website for the Quantum Real Estate Agent, and you can download the exercise there.
Actual
Even
exercise.
if you haven't read the book, do that.
Yeah.
Start there, and then you're going to want to dive in.
Yeah. So basically, I discovered this exercise within my very first year. I didn't create it, although I kind of adapted it to real estate when you go onto the website and go through it. But this process was developed, believe it or not, by Sakuchi Toyota, which is the founder of Toyota Industries, the auto manufacturer. And what he and they came up with is, for solving any issues, whether it's production-based, business-based, or otherwise, is let's ask 5 questions, and generally they're all why-based questions to get to the true answer, because they felt that 5 was that magic number of really digging deep and getting to that answer. So in the context of real estate, the first question is, why did you make the decision to maybe quit your day job and become a real estate agent or get into real estate? And 9 out of 10 people will say, well, I wanted to make more money, but that's not your why. So then question 2 is, well, why do you want to make more money? So they give the answer, and then why do you feel that way, or why did you make that decision? And by the time you get to the 5th why question, you're really getting to that vulnerable, deep reason, which will oftentimes surprise yourself when you get to that, because you're going, whoa, I didn't really think about that, but this is something that was deeply rooted in me that has been maybe subconsciously driving me to make a big change and have a paradigm shift in my life, and now I know what it really is. And oftentimes it's not just about, again, finances or even your family or spending more time with family, having more flexibility, attending those kids, sports and dance recitals. It really digs deeper, and it really comes back to a true purpose-driven answer for you specifically that will make you feel like you're advancing in life, you're growing as a human, and you're able to pay it forward and lead a life of significant impact on others ultimately. That's generally by the time you get to that 5th question where you're at. So I encourage you, it's the quantumrealestateagent.com, and that big why exercise is on there, free to use and download.
Perfect. So is it too personal to ask you what your big why was?
Yeah, no, it's not. I think, it kind of surprised me because, I left a very successful corporate job I was in for 12 years. I was making great money, and I was moving up the ladder. I was one of the youngest directors in the company, $2 billion company. I was a 32-year-old director of national accounts, managed a $70 million division, had about 30 people under me, and it was really, making that transition. There were some important things. one reason I made the transition is my dad had a small brokerage in Porterville, California here. Many of you in the area know where that's at, southeastern Tulare County and the foothills. He had a 7-person brokerage, and he was his own top producer, did very well. And in 2006, while we were on vacation together at the Central Coast, I was visiting from South Carolina because I was in corporate America back there. So I only saw my dad and the family about 2-3 times a year, but we happened to be back in the Cayucas area, Central California coast, and he passed away suddenly that first night we were there, just devastating. And so I had a decision to make. Do I just try to help wind up his affairs as best I can with the family, help my stepmother, help my sisters, just get everything situated and keep moving forward with my corporate life and career, or do I quit all that and come back and try to salvage his small business and things that he had going and get everything straightened out? And it didn't take me long. It took me about a week to realize that this is something I needed to do. Although I never wanted to get into real estate, never had the desire to get into it. I like the safety net of corporate America, having a paycheck every week, having benefits, 401k, stock options. I was getting all of that. Had a great comp package and upward mobility. I knew within a few years I'd be a VP level. And I just, 12 years working to that so hard, 70 hours a week, traveling on the road 60-70% of the time, flying all over the country, up into Canada. I just gave all that up. I gave them a 30-day notice and basically helped them transition to my replacement, and which it took them 2 people to replace me, unfortunately, and one of them went out on mental health leave after a month, so you can imagine how crazy my job was there. I might have been right behind him if I had stayed, but so I knew I needed to go back and do that. I knew it was the right thing to do, but people said, okay, well, your big why is obvious. That was your big why. That wasn't my big why, because that's not enough. Because if that in and of itself, just going back, getting things going, stabilized, doesn't mean I'm going to stay doing it. Doesn't mean I'm going to be successful at it. So really, the big why was just about, having significant impact on others through all things real estate. And helping those people become highly successful in whatever that endeavor is, whether it's an agent succeeding, whether it's a seller, buyer, an investor. I just wanted to leave a legacy of impact through real estate and even beyond, which I feel I've really transitioned into. I'm helping people in a lot of different areas right now, even beyond real estate. And that was my purpose when I got to that 5th answer. And my eyes teared up. I was like, I just never, I was so myopic and linear thinking in my corporate job. I knew I had to get the job done. I knew I have to write new business. I need to be out there at appointments. I never realized that were my quantum abilities, that a lot of them were already there to help people succeed. And now I have a platform that I know something about, that I actually came to love very quickly and realized it was in my DNA. And now I can transition my experience in corporate America and things that I'm learning along the way in real estate and help people succeed at a high level. And so I hit the ground running. My first year I did really well, and I doubled my business the second year and matched my corporate salary by my second year, and it just kept growing from there. And then I built a small brokerage up to 30 agents, did a merger, became a 50 agent office, and then we just kept growing from there. Today, of course, we're 10 offices and nearly 400 agents in 5 different counties in California, from Fresno to Bakersfield to Central Coast. Really much different than that 6-agent office in a little strip center near Town and Country Drug in Porterville in a 1,200 square foot space. It's amazing when I drive by that space today to realize how far we've come. It's awesome.
Well, your father and your grandfather would be very proud, because you're third generation.
Third generation, yeah. So my grandfather owned Grant Allen Real Estate in the 60s in Porterville, which ultimately became Home Realty and Land Company, which still exists today. And then my dad, of course, he owned a company called Midstate Realty that he purchased from another person who started it, and had it for quite a long time, and that was the company I ended up taking over. So yeah, I think that definitely, I know my dad's there. He's watching over me. He's still giving me advice. I feel it. just amazing. He would have never been able to vision what's happened. So it's cool.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
And in growing, you have all the offices and all your
Yeah.
agents, and then I mean, I'm here because of you, because wanting to grow the Fine Home and Estate
Yes.
division, which,
Yes.
by the way, just a plug, I'll put information, but we're having our brand launch ribbon cutting next Thursday, April 3rd from 4 to 7, and
Yes.
it's going to be quite the event. We're going to have jazz and a ribbon cutting and giveaways, and it'll be really a great celebration of starting this new division for
Yeah.
Jordan Link and Company.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and speaking with me. And again, go on Amazon, buy the book, and also go on the website. What's the website again for the book?
thequantumrealestateagent.com. So
Yes, and download and do the big Y exercise.
Yeah, and let me know what you think. If you reach out, my contact's on the website. Also, you can go to MikeRallen.com. I have to put the middle initial in. MikeRallen.com. It's my personal website. It gives more of my background story, also some of the programs I train on. I do quantum real estate agent training, but I also do an investor training that many of you out there have possibly been exposed or been to, called the Quantum Real Estate Investor. I do have a session that will be coming up here in the next probably about 30 to 45 days, date to be announced soon. But I do open that up to people out there that are looking to really learn from grassroots on up how to invest and build this portfolio. It doesn't take a lot of money to do it. I bought my first property. I barely had, I don't even know if I had $5,000 in the bank, and I made $26,000 a year, and I bought my first 3 properties, in 1 year doing that. I can show you how I did it. Also, I've got a really good tool that shows you how to pencil properties out and cap rates and 5-year pro formas that anybody can use. I mean, you just fill in simple blanks like rents and interest rates on the loan, things like that. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, go to those 2 platforms. And also, I do speaking engagements. If you'd like me to come talk about anything and everything real estate, I'm available for that.
Right. He loves to talk.
I
so there
love
you
to
go,
talk.
folks.
I'm already losing my voice. I've spoken so much today. And I have a networking event tonight I'm going to be whispering at, but that'll be okay.
All right. Ciao, everybody.